Hi there, my name is Rory from 10losttribes.com. I'd like to continue with a series that I've begun called The Ascent of the Bride. The Ascent of the Bride. This is the second part in a series that I hope to cover over the next month. Now, in the previous video we saw that Peter walking on the water is related to the end times, and that it is connected to Torah through the book of Genesis and the flood of Noah's Ark. That Noah's flood is related to the end times, that the number 15 is significant for the bride, and that there are 15 psalms related to her ascent and rapture during the tribulation. Psalms are prophecy, like the whole Bible is prophecy. When you read history of something that happened in the past, it's still prophecy of the future, because the Bible is a supernatural book and everything that is in it is related to everything else that is in it. And so even the Psalms are prophecy. Even the grouping of them. There are 5 books of Psalms, there are 5 books of Torah. Even the order of the Psalms is prophetic. So we're going to look today at Psalms 113 to 134. Concentrating on the last 15 Psalms, which are related to the bride, as I'll show in the next slide. So, Psalms 113 to 118 are called the Halal Psalms. There are 6 of them. And 6 is the number of man. It's also the number of the beast. Man and the beast were created on the 6th day. If you remember the wedding in Cana of Galilee, there were 6 stone water pots that had water in them that were turned to wine by Yeshua. The Lord is going to change mankind, and we're going in either of 2 directions, towards the beast or towards Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah. The 6 Halal Psalms are related to the 144,000. Now, we're going to cover that in another series that is about the children of God breaking out of Babylon. So please have a look on my YouTube site for those videos. Now, after the 6 Halal Psalms, there is the huge Psalm 119, which starts with 8 sentences, starting with the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and then the next 8 sentences are in the second letter, Beit, or Bet in Hebrew, and Gimel and Dalet and Hey and Vav and so on. So there are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet or alphabet, and so Psalm 119 has 8 sentences for each of those letters. And Psalm 119 mentions the servant of the Lord multiple times, more than any other psalm, because Psalm 119 is actually the sealing of the 144,000 and what they go through. And then there are 15 psalms after Psalm 119, which is the Psalms 120 to 134. 15 Songs of Ascent, or Shir HaMa'alot in Hebrew. Songs of Ascent, sometimes translated, like in the King James Version, as Songs of Degrees. And these psalms are prophetic about the end times and about the ascent of the bride through the trial of the tribulation, and ultimately their rapture and wedding. And we're going to step through each of these songs. I'm going to look at Psalm 120, the first in this list, briefly with you. Psalm 121 goes, "I will lift up mine eyes into the hills." And people think it's really nice, tra-la-la-la-la, but there's actually coming a time when the bride is going to be in the hills. She's going to be heading out of town because of persecution, because of destruction coming upon our nations, because of all sorts of tyranny. And I believe that this is right at the door. Psalm 133, the second last in the series of 15 songs or Psalms of Ascent, is all about the outpouring of the Holy Spirit and the ascent of the bride through resurrection or rapture. And there's going to be a wedding. So Psalm 134 is just a rejoicing psalm. But let's get into it. Let's have a look at Psalm 120. A song of degrees or ascent. Shir Hamalot. In my distress I cried unto the Lord, and he heard me. Al Yehovah B'tzarata li karati v'ya'anani. In my distress, we covered this last week. That word distress here is the word Zara, which means tribulation. Is translated tribulation. It talks about in Jeremiah the time of Jacob's trouble in Jeremiah chapter 30. But he shall be saved. That's the time of tribulation. And this is not just for the Jews, it's for the lost tribes of Israel scattered in America and elsewhere. In verse 2 it says, Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. So the context is in the previous verse. It's in a time of distress. It's actually in a time of tribulation. And the bride is crying out to the Lord, Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. Now we have lies in the media, lies in the news, lies from those in power. And we need to hear God's voice. We had something happen in 2020 that caused great commotion, and we need to be listening to the Lord. So we need to be delivered from lying tongues and lying lips and a deceitful tongue. We need to be praying. This is a prayer. We need to be praying people, not discouraged people. We may be hurt. We may be in travail, pain. The birth pangs are painful, but the kingdom is coming. Verse 3, What shall be given unto thee, and what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue? So we're surrounded in a world, in a nation, where everything's lies and nothing is true, where everything is false. It says, Woe to you that change good for evil and sweet for bitter. And so we're living in a time where everything's being turned upside down, where what is described as hate is actually not. In verse 4, Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper, that's what's going to be given. Now people read this and they go, tra-la-la-la-la. They don't understand what it's talking about, because we require the Holy Spirit. It says in Psalm 124, verses 4 to 5, As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate. The enemies in the gate. Who are the enemies in the gate? And who are the arrows? They're children. Well, Zion is going to bring forth children. She's going to bring forth a man-child. In Isaiah 66, verses 7 to 8, she brings forth a man-child, and then she brings forth her children. 2 sets of 144,000. Again, this is in my 144,000 series, which is called Children Breaking Out of Babylon. Verse 5, Woe is me that I sojourn in Meshech and dwell in the tents of Kedar. Kedar is in Saudi Arabia. There's a great deal of building going on in a certain part of Saudi Arabia that is the very area of the true Mount Sinai. And God is going to regather his people back to Saudi Arabia before he brings them into the land. He's going to bring Israel and Judah out from amongst the nations, out from the north country, out from Babylon. And there's an end times Babylon. In fact, there's a couple of them. And the first end times Babylon to fall is a nation of red, white and blue. And it's going to become a nation of tyranny. And God's people are going to be crying out for deliverance. And there's going to be a great deal of dissension and division within those that call themselves God's people, those that are actually listening to the Lord, and those that are actually siding with the powers that be. My soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. We're living in a time where people hate peace, where they're protesting for this and protesting for that. They're anti-Israel, anti-this, anti-that. And often these marches are actually evil. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. This is the first psalm, and this shows us what the bride is about to endure as soon as tribulation hits. When the 4 horsemen are riding, they're storming, and the whole world is turned upside down, and everything that we trusted in our nations falls apart, and we become pariahs. We become the scapegoats of the world. We become hated for his name's sake. And that is the time when we head to the hills, which is the next psalm that we're going to have a look at. We may not have motorbikes like what just passed me in that time to escape. It may be on foot. We'll be heading to the hills. So I want you to understand that these psalms are prophetic. And we're coming into that time period of Psalm 120 almost immediately, I believe. And I believe a lot of things are going to change this September, October, as we come into the 7th Hebrew month, the time of trumpets to tabernacles and Judgment Day or Yom Kippur in the middle of those 2 feasts. So thanks very much for watching. That's all for now, and God bless. And if you'd like to know more, have a look at my website. Very large articles, but if you've got time, they may be of some help to you. God bless and shalom.